Hello and welcome to my channel. This is Lisa with Lisa's Faith and Budget Planning channel. I'm excited to be here today. I'm in my Excel spreadsheet here that I have on my laptop, and I am excited to show you how I created a budget for myself and to budget with. You don't need an app, you don't need anything extra. If you already have a laptop and you already have a spreadsheet of some kind, you can use this same technique for your budgeting methods. So you can modify it and adapt it for what you need, but creating a spreadsheet in Excel for budgeting is very, very simple. You just need to know how to do a couple little tricks and formulas if you're not used to using Excel. But once you find out what that is, you copy and paste every month and then edit it the way you need it. It's very easy to do. So I hope you stick around for this video. And if you do, please subscribe to my channel and get more of these. I want to do these 2 or 3 times a month, I hope. Definitely at the beginning to show you how I set it up. And then maybe paycheck to paycheck and then close out just like I used to do every dollar. This is replacing the every dollar. It's just a new and not new, but another way of budgeting that might work for you. And I want to get as many budgeting techniques out there to as many people as possible, because if it could help someone and keep them on track with their budget, then I definitely want to help someone to do that, regardless of what method you use. So that's why I do so many budgeting videos and so many budgeting techniques. They are amazing. They are awesome. I love using them. So let's go ahead and get started. So what we're going to do here, I have a design laid out and I'll show you a little bit of what I have, and you can see how I have it organized. And then we'll go through filling in the numbers, and then I'll show you how I do the formulas. So this is what I'm doing for the month of April. I've already listed what dates here. First of all, I just start at the top and I go paycheck 1. I'm going to zoom in a little bit to make this larger so you can see it really well. Oops. There we go. So April 1st through the 15th, pay and expenses. That's what I title mine. You can call it whatever you want, but this is what I like to call it because it's the first paycheck period of the month, and I like putting the dates down to remind me when the next paycheck's coming and how much this is actually covering. Now, April is an unusual month for us. First, my husband gets military retirement, VA disability. He did not get VA education this month because he's skipped a month of classes and took a break, and then he's starting up again. Actually, today is his first day back to class, so next month or later this month we'll probably get another deposit. But my son paid us rent, and my husband's salary check came. So these first 4 came on the 1st. Salary check came on the 2nd. Dividends always come at the end of the previous month. I only count it for the part of the first month because they're only pennies. They're like 3 cents or 5 cents or 10 cents, something like that, depending on how much we keep in our bank account throughout the month. So then I go into my bills and expenses. So right here, as you see, the balance forward and all this is all in green. This is the only highlighting method I really like besides my highlighter for my groceries, restaurants, miscellaneous, and gasoline in my calendar section of my paper and pen planning for my bills. These are the only 2 highlighting things that I do. I usually pick a fun color for the month. As you can see, I didn't do green. This is the same color as I did for March. Oops. And January through this is February's pay. I did this pink color because it was February. And then I think, what did I do for January? Give it a second. It's got to think a minute. There we go. And then I did a different blue for January. So I haven't really varied for my colors very much, but you can change the colors every month. You can keep them the same, but I always use the same green for my spending, or not my spending, but my husband's income and all the money that comes in for the spending of the budget. Then I go into the bills. That's a separate color. And there's the mortgage all the way down here. I did add landscaping in. We have a new landscaping company. I did add this ATM. I did this before I had an ATM withdrawal before I did my budget. So I went ahead and put it in here, but I have some extra things and I'll show you in a minute how do I add unbudgeted items that I normally track in my paycheck to paycheck budgeting and my monthly budget. I'll show you how I do that in here as well. But I also have grocery, household, restaurants, miscellaneous, and gasoline. And why I have it here is because I create a formula in these squares that totals all the spending I do over here, and I don't have to add it twice. I just put the number in here, whatever I did for groceries, and it keeps track of it over here, and I don't have to think about it twice. So that's what I love about an Excel sheet. You create formulas, very easy, add addition, subtraction, and you're good to go. So let's scroll down a little bit further. This month I've divided into 2 paychecks. So my husband got all his first of the month, and then on the 1st, and then a salary check on the 2nd. Then he gets a salary check on the 16th. And anything left over here will balance forward into this, and I start paycheck 2. But paycheck 2 has another paycheck in it, and I have that right here, but it comes on the last day of April. So really I can't put it towards all my bills because my bills have already cleared before the last day, and I don't need it for the 1st of the next month because my husband always gets paid on the 1st with those government checks. So more than likely, and mostly, this will all go to savings for our emergency fund and any other savings that we might come up with later. So I do know when I get this last paycheck for the month, I went ahead and put it at the bottom of my list of all the bills and expenses so that I know it's at the end of the month and I'm not going to budget for any of the other bills. It's going to sit alone. That's why I have it at the end here, but most of the time this doesn't happen. It just happened to be in one of those odd months where every other Friday there's a paycheck, and they call it a magic month for April, and there's 5 Fridays, and so there was like an extra paycheck that didn't have to go to bills, and that's what we did. So I will tithe that, and then whatever's left will go into savings, and this total is what we balance forward to the next month, and that's how I do my monthly bills. Now I also have here a running tally of my budgeted categories, and we'll go over that as well, but I have a certain amount that I like to budget every month, and these are the amounts for the entire month, and then I can create a formula to track the actuals and if I was over or under. And what's kind of cool in here is I can highlight or change the color of the numbers to different colors just by going over here, and if it's over budget, I just kind of make it red, and that stands out to me that we're over budget. There's a warning sign there. So I'm just going to put that back to blue, and there you go. I also keep track of sinking funds. I have not changed this. I've put March right here, even though this is April, to remind me that you and I will be going over the March sinking fund. So you're going to get all the budget, the whole thing, the setup. I track my sinking funds here. We're going to change these numbers to the new beginnings, this is March's endings right here. And then we're going to put the new beginnings, and then I'm going to leave these here because these numbers actually don't change. This one does because it's a dividend. But everything else in here I have set up evenly for every month. So these numbers won't change. So all I got to do is change the beginnings. It's going to give me the new endings and the balance. Now, typically the cash won't be put in until the middle to the end of the month, and this month will be on the 16th when I transfer those funds. But you'll see I'll already know what those numbers are. My sinking funds are annual expenses or very rarely used expenses coming out of here. So they only come out once a year or semi-annually. Outside that, they don't really come out, and I don't have to do a whole lot other than adjust the numbers month to month because I increased it. But I will be doing a sinking fund payment this month on the 15th, and you'll see how that works. And also I have in here my March savings tracker, and I don't have a lot. I do it on paper, but I don't have a lot, so it's easy to track in here. This is my beginning amount. This is what we did in March. This is all the savings, and this is what my actual bank account reflects. So does this one. These are 2 different savings account in one's my joint account, this one here, Savings tracker is a joint account savings with me and my husband that we've had the bank account for like over 20 some years. This one up here is a savings account that's just my savings account. I have a personal checking and savings separate from my husband that is for YouTube, and you don't see budgets on this because I don't really have to budget very much. I don't have a lot of activity going in and out, but if I want to spend stuff on YouTube or want to spend stuff on whatever, then or my budget sheets or my whatever, then it comes out of those checking account. But the savings account wasn't being used, so I use it for a sinking funds category. So that is what we're talking about today. So let's dive into the numbers and go ahead and fill this all out. So we're going to go right here. I've already got my box highlighted, and we're going to put in the number, which was $274.30. There we go. That is my starting balance before these deposits were made. That I need to know so I can keep accurate number with the check account. So the next number I need is all the deposits for the first of the month. So we have 14, 97, 18. These are exact same numbers I have in my budget sheets. And the cool thing about a spreadsheet is the fact that you get to put these numbers in, and the spreadsheet does the math for you. That's what I love. I love the fact that the math is done for you and you don't have to think twice about it. So I need to put my husband's salary. So I put in military retirement, VA disability, rent. Now I'm going to put salary in. This is my husband's income from his job. And then dividends. We only had 3 cents. There we go. So now that you've got these deposits in, now what? You can start putting in all the items that are being taken out. But I like to watch the number go down. So I'm going to go ahead and create a formula. So the easiest formula in Excel is an addition formula. I want to make it a little bit smaller so I can get the whole thing up. There we go. Maybe one more. There we go. Okay, you can see the whole thing. So down here, I'm going to type in equal sign and the word sum, which is to total it up, open parenthesis, and then I'm just going to click, up here and see how it squares around the bottom corner here. Drag that all the way down to gasoline, and then do a close parentheses and hit enter, and there we go. There is the total I have for our income for the first of the month. There we go. Before we have all the bills taken out. It's just a total. And included every box that I have highlighted or have open here in this section. So if you actually click on this and click here, you're going to see it highlights all those boxes so you know what it's actually. I'm trying to get it to go smaller. There we go. Get it all on here. There we go. So you can see it's going to include all these numbers in these boxes, and that's the total it's going to give. So now that we have that, I'm going to go ahead and start putting in my numbers for what bills have been coming out. And I want to do all of them because it's going to give me a balance of what the whole month looks like. Now, you can do this a couple different ways. You can only put in the bills that have come out, so you can have a total matching your bank account, or you can have it deduct everything so you know what you have left over in your bank account. And that's what I actually prefer. I don't have to match my bank account. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking what's left in available buffer or available spending in my bank account, because I keep everything in the bank. I use a debit card and I keep everything in the bank. I do not use cash. I'm cashless cash spender. So I don't use credit to buy everything, but I do use cash in my bank through my debit card to pay for everything. So one thing you have to do, this is adding all of this entire column up, this formula down here. So in order to subtract out of this number, I have to make every number here, expense, a negative. That is key to making sure this is accurate. So I would type negative $1,980.06 for my mortgage, and see how the number dropped down here? That is what you want to look for. So when you're taking out what's in the budget, that's what you're looking for. So I'm going to fill in the rest and show you the numbers, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I am back. So I've got my numbers filled in. As you can see, I've got $2,933.50. And you may have caught at the end that I forgot to put the negative with the ATM $220 and the 55. I had to go back and do it. If you go back and put a negative in and then click on another box, it'll think that you're trying to do two functions there. You have to do a check mark. So to say it's ready and then move on. And I'll just show you that real quick. This is not what I want to do, but I'll just show you. $60. Oops. Let's do $60. And then once you click out of it, it thinks, okay, it's ready. Now you want to go back and put a negative. Here, if you try to like click out here to get out of it, it's going to give you this little dotted line. And it's going to think that $60 associated with that. It's not what you want. So just hit backspace to delete at the top up here. And then now that you've got the 60, just do the negative and then hit this check mark. And then when you click out of it, it won't think it's part of the formula. So yeah, I mess that up all the time when I do that. So if you make a mistake, that's kind of one of the little quirky things about Excel or spreadsheets that you have to think about. Now, here I track all my spending as it happens, and I create formulas here in order to track that spending so that I don't have to be worried about am I going over budget in my spending categories, and I don't have to subtract it out separately over here, less likely to make some mistakes. So the first thing I want to do before I put my formulas here is come up with my budget amounts for this date period, the 1st through the 15th. So that's 2 weeks of groceries I need to account for. And I'm looking at my notes here, for grocery household, $600 for my groceries. And that includes household. It's just the words so big together I didn't put both words in. Restaurants, I have $325. Miscellaneous, I have $275. And gasoline, I have $150. I increased my monthly gasoline from $250 to $300 because we are going to travel a little bit, do some driving, and my kids are on spring break and those kind of things. So that's what we're doing. Now, first thing I want to do is like what I did here. Sorry, that bar keeps popping up. Right here is to make a total for this entire column. So that's what we're going to do here. And see if I can get the whole thing on. Hopefully this is not too small that you guys can't see what I'm doing. So take these zeros out because we don't need them there. They're just kind of there to hold a place. And we're going to replace them with formulas. Again, equals the sum of, and you do the equal signs, type the word sum, and then open parentheses. And you start with your first number, which is this number up here. And then you wait and then let this little box, goes from crosshairs to a little box, and drag it down. And hit close parentheses. Enter. Let's see if I have all. I don't think I have all of them. So I highlight this and then I do that. Yep. So when you don't get all the boxes and adjacent boxes aren't included into the formula, it'll give you a warning sign here. That's what this is talking about. This is the formula in the cell refers to a range that has an additional number adjacent to it, meaning this one didn't come in. All you got to do is kind of bring those crosshairs over that corner box, drag it down, and then kind of click out here, and now it's got the total. So it recognizes all these boxes together, whatever I type in, this is a total, and this is what we need. And I'm going to do, I think I can do this across. Let me try and see. So copy, just going to do copy and then go over here, paste, and it did. So you can copy this and just going across this way here at the bottom and then paste, it will drag the same formulas down. So if you click on this, it highlights the whole thing. It knows what you're talking about. That's one shortcut that I've learned. So I don't know a lot about Excel, but I know the basics, so that's pretty good. Now, as we do this, I can go and look in my spending categories for grocery household. I have a couple spending already. Again, if you are wanting to lower the number down, you need to put a negative in front of that number. So you start with a negative. 53.26 is what I spent, and then you go to the next cell. So that actually dropped that $600 to $546.74. So there you go. Oops, I keep going over there. Next cell, I'm going to do 29.82, and there you go. So I know for the 2 weeks, because I already have cash on hand, I have this amount of money, this $516.92 left till the 15th to pay for groceries. And that's what I love about this. It's very easy. If you have Excel, like on Apple products, and you have Excel downloaded on all of them, even on your phone, you can just pop in and go, hey, I know how much money I have in my spending category. Same thing with an app, with the budgeting app with Dave Ramsey, or there's some budgeting apps that are cash envelope apps that you can do the same thing. It's just a simple spreadsheet. You label the envelope and it lowers the amount every time you put a transaction in. Some of them link with your banks. There's so many techniques of ways of budgeting. Some work better for others. It makes sense. Some people it just doesn't click and something else does. So find what works for you. That's all really you can do. So now that I have these two transactions in, I want it to reflect over here so it will lower this number. So I have came up with the best way I know how, is to create another formula, and it's just equal sum. There we go. And then open parentheses, and then I click on the first spending item, not my budget. Do not use the budget, the spending item. And then I highlight the entire column of just where I would put all those negative numbers. And then I close parentheses and hit enter. And it's already showing I spent $83.80. So not only can I look and see that out of $600, I have $516.92, I can look over here and go, hey, I have spent $83.80, and this is a true reflection of my bank account right now. So that is what I like about this. I don't think I can highlight and go down because it's going across this way for the rest of the categories. So I'm going to have to do them individually. But let's see, do I have any other spending going on? I do have some restaurants, so let me put those in real quick. $20.61. And when you do use Excel and you put a number in like this, you can actually do and go to inserts up here if you really want to get detailed about your budget. And in inserts, and I'm going to have to move myself down. In inserts, sorry about that. There we go. You can use, let's see right here. You can do a new comment. And you can type over here, and this is spent on Arby's. My husband loves Arby's, I don't know why. And click this little arrow, and now this note appears up here, and you know exactly what you spent when you put your cursor over that item. So not only can you track what you're spending in your bills, you can track exactly what stores you're shopping at and find out, why did I spend $20.61? Oh, that day we went to Arby's. You can date it. It does have timestamp when you edit it. If you really want the date, you can just go Arby's, and the actual date was 4/1/21, and save that. And there you go. You know exactly what day you went to Arby's and it was the first thing and the first of the month, kind of thing. So yeah, I'm not going to fill that in for every transaction, but as you're doing it, that's going to help keep you on track and show you where your money's going. If you don't write it down, at least put it in a note form like that. Yeah, you don't even have to write down. You put it on your computer. See, the next thing we have for restaurants, let's see, $7.46 for Taco Bell, and then you'll see this in my weekly check-in when I do my paper budget if you watch that. So now I'm down to $245.90. Let's see, do I have any miscellaneous? I do have a few miscellaneous here. $39.22. And oops, again, I forgot the negative. It happens. You got to pay attention. Negative. Now that I put that negative in and edit this little box, I got to do a check mark, or it's going to think anything I click on next is part of the formula, and that's not what I want. Also, $20 for church. There's a church event coming up. Ladies event, a simulcast, and I'm really excited. It's got a lot of famous Bible study people, including Lisa Harper, which is one of my favorites. So I'm really excited about that one. And that's all I really have for right now as far as spending. And so this is what I have until the 15th of the month, and things should be good. So again, I need to do another formula to carry these over. So we'll do restaurants. So that's equal the sum, open parentheses, and I'm going to start here at the top, and then I'm going to take the square, I'm going to go all the way down to here, and then I'm going to close parentheses. Now, if you don't use this entire column, which I normally don't come all the way down, sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't. I like the symmetry where it's the same length as the other column of items. I just give myself plenty of room to put all the information in. It doesn't change anything. As long as that zero is there, it's fine. You don't have to fill every cell with every new transaction, or have every cell filled with every new transaction. The zero is a placeholder. So restaurants, we already spent $79.10. Miscellaneous equals the sum of this top one. Now remember, I'm below the budgeted amount. And then there. So there we go. And then I'm going to do it for all of these. It's just going to show zero, but yes, I'm going to go ahead and do that one. For the gasoline, because we have not bought any gas, but we will probably in a couple days because we're getting ready to travel to visit some family. There we go. Now you might see these little green things in the corner. It's just because there's a warning saying it's not adjacent to the cells that it is. And it thinks it's an error, and it's not. It's not an error at all. It's how you want it. So I just leave those little green square or triangles in the corner and leave it at that. So now my bank account really reflects what's actually come out. Well, almost. Now, a lot of times throughout the month, I add unbudgeted items that I don't use in my miscellaneous category. If the transaction's large enough and I want it to come out of my buffer and not my miscellaneous that I've already budgeted for, then I have to add on to what my pay and expenses. Now I can do it one of two ways. I can either add another column here and have an unbudgeted amount, which I think I might go ahead and do. And the best way to do this, if you're going to manipulate and change things, for me to add one more line here, I would take this and I would cut it, move it down one, paste it, and then I would come here and I would create the box lines that I have around it, and that's simply here in the corner under your type of font. And I like the curly fonts. I like the cursive font. So I use this Lucida, I don't even know how to pronounce that, calligraphy kind of font. And it's aesthetically pleasing to me because everything in Excel is very rigid and sharp corner boxes, and that bothers me. So this kind of balances out. And I'm going to go here and I'm just going to do all borders. So this whole box is all squared off, and it'll show up when you print it that way, which I really like that. And I'm going to type in here unbudgeted. And we're going to create a new column right here in this section right here. Just like this, just a new one, and we're going to call it unbudgeted, and we're going to put our unbudgeted items there. Now you can do that, or you can keep adding to this column here, line by line by line, which is how I used to do it. But I think I'm just going to do a whole unbudgeted column here, and that'll work. And I think I've got that done. Okay, now we can move on to how we set it up. So I'm just going to put $0 here. Now this is general right here. I can switch this whole column to currency. So, because all I'm going to be doing is putting numbers there, and it will give me the dollar sign and the pennies and the dollar. So now every formula that I highlighted in this entire column has the money or currency as its default for what I'm typing in here. And so I don't budget for unbudgeted, but I do have some unbudgeted items that I've already done, and top dollar stuff too. So, oh my goodness, we spent so much. There we go. First thing we did is we got our kitchen painted. Yes, our kitchen painted, our dining room painted, the wainscoting in there, and a front room. So it was 3 large rooms painted, and you had to remove the stove and the refrigerator and paint behind there to make it all match. It looks amazing. It looks amazing. So we saw that we had a 3rd paycheck of the month and we had some extra in the buffer. So we went ahead and had that done. He's a friend from church. We absolutely love him. So we have $940 is what we spent on all the painting. And took 3 days, but phenomenal work. Oops, and again, I forgot my negative sign. Now you will always remember negative is important. Then I have to do the check mark. Now it's completed. So there's the unbudgeted. I also have, I was buying my son's Legos, and I meant to put it on the credit card so I can pay it at the end of the month before the 24th, which is when any payments due on my credit card. So there's no interest charges. And my Amazon account is actually linked to my debit card, not my credit card, and I forgot to change that before I did the purchase, so it's okay. I'm just calling it unbudgeted now. So there's my negative sign. It was $42.39. So it's very difficult for my son to come up with what he wants for his birthday. It's in June 9th, later this year, or in a couple months away, and it's April 5th right now. So I need that time to get shipped whatever he wanted for his birthday. It's usually always Legos, and Lego.com didn't have what he wanted, but Amazon had what he wanted, so I went ahead and purchased it unintentionally, but did, and now I'm budgeting it. So that was one Lego kit, and this is another Lego kit. Oops. Negative 13754. Yes, Legos are very expensive, but he absolutely loves them. My family sends us money, and we pull it together, and we get him like 10 kits, and they're all from the Lego Ninjago series, and he keeps them all built and put together. He's running out of space. I don't know what we're going to do about that, but yeah, it is what it is. So we love him, and we love that he can have these things and we can give these things, and this is what he gets for his birthday all the time. Now, that is all I have. Nope, I have one more unbudgeted. I have one more, negative $100. We did a donation to Walk for Life, and my friend Deb, who I adore and is one of my mentors from church, she works at the Crisis Pregnancy Center. She loves helping the women. She loves getting all the layettes and stuff that they need for their babies, baskets and stuff like that, with clothes and diapers and wipes and all the things. They have provided for women, and I just love it. And that is all I have as far as unbudgeted. Let's see. I'm going to show you a little trick here. What else? So these don't have any numbers in them. Oh, and I got to do this here, this formula here. So I'm just going to hit copy here, and then I'm going to go this, and then I'm going to highlight all of these except for the last one because that's where I'm going to put a formula. And then I right click on my mouse, I paste, and all those zeros pop up. I love that. So you don't have to type 0, all those times. Now this is the same formula as this, except for it says column. So I'm going to copy this, and then I'm going to paste it here. Nope, that's not going to work. That's not what I want to do. No, it is. It is. I think it is. That number took me by surprise. I forgot how big the number was. Yeah, so it does take it. So yeah, I've already spent $1,200 out of our buffer, $1,220 almost, and wow, that's a lot of money. That's what I love about Excel and the math that it does for you, or anything like that. When you total up an unbudgeted column, you're like, oh, what did I do? I didn't even know what the number was. It's crazy. Okay, so here we go. Now I need to take this number and put it right here. So we're going to do another formula. Equals the sum, open parentheses. We're going to click on this cell. Oh no, that's not what, yeah. Try and decide. You can either click on this cell because there's no budgeted amount here, or you can highlight all of these. I'm going to do what I did with the last ones. Instead of click on that cell, I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to start here at the top, just like I did with the others, and make that go all the way down. Oops, too far. And then close parentheses. There you go. There's so many ways to put numbers together that it just really can, you can do a lot of things with Excel and do the same thing in different ways. So here, I just noticed it didn't go down. And the reason is because if I go up here and click on this, that cell is not included. So now I want to include it, and that number will definitely go down. And there we go. Went from over 2,000 to only 1,400. This is what I truly have left in the budget. Not subtracting the budget amount, but just what's left in the actual cash, I should say. Now you can create a formula to take this number and subtract what you've budgeted here, what's left in the budget, and come up with a true sense of what your balance forward is. And you can do that separately. So total minus spending categories, or spending. There we go. And that would be equals the sum of, and I love this, you can take this number and you can subtract, put a subtraction sign, this, and then subtraction sign this cell, and subtraction sign this cell, and subtraction sign this cell. And I'm only doing the ones with the budgeted, and when you get to your last cell, you just do a close parentheses and enter, and that is what is actually going to be left for you to spend for the rest of the month. And I have that number written in my planner, so we are good. I am very tight because we decided to spend so much right here when we decided to have the house painted. So, but I've been waiting 2 years to paint the kitchen and to pay off debt and have the money, and our time finally came. I'm like, I know it's going to be a little tight, but we have that third paycheck at the end of the month, so that'll make it up. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at now. So here we go. I'm just going to put a little box around this because I like the little boxes around it. And so total minus the spending, and that's what that is. And I don't have to include this number because this number is unbudgeted already here, already taken out of the total. So this is what I actually have left to work with until the next paycheck period, which is down here. So next paycheck period looks exactly the same. So all I'm going to do is set this up, and I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to come back, and then I'm going to show you how all the totals look, because it's the same method as I did before. I don't want to show it twice. And then we'll go down and do my daily total here, and then update this from March to April, and this up to March to April, and then we'll be done. So I will be right back. Okay, I'm I'm back. So we've already set up April 1st through the 15th, already put in some of our spending categories. I showed you how to make a note. So if you wanted to make a note of what you spent and what it went to in your spending categories, you can do that there. Now we're moving on down here. Here's our totals, what I have left for my spending category, what was taken out of the buffer of the budget, which is this number over here, and how much I spent in that unbudgeted category, and then what I have left to spend until the next paycheck period, which is not a lot right now, $357. That's all I got. So now we're going to move down to the second half of the month, which is the 16th through the 30th of April, and what I have done and I've created, I like taking the ending number, this total. Now this total will be reduced each time I make a transaction. This is only the 5th of April, so I still have at least 10 more days before we hit the end of the paycheck period. So this will start getting filled out more and more as time goes by, and I'll keep paying attention to these numbers and make sure I don't go negative here, because if I go negative here, that means I'm going to bounce a check or have a problem, and I don't want that. So what I have here is a way to see what I have left and not to go over it, but also want to balance forward this ending amount, and these two numbers eventually become the same number. Unless I don't spend everything over here or I spend too much, then they're going to be different. So I have that. This is what total I want to balance forward. Now this number is going to be high until I do the spending, and you just keep that in mind when you're doing the rest of the month, that these numbers are going to be skewed a little bit until the actual spending categories are completed, and that's how I have it set up. So I balance forward this total, and I move it here as a beginning for my new balance when the new paycheck gets deposited. So this is what potentially could be in the bank account if I don't spend any more money, but I know I will. So I know that number is going to go down, but I know what my husband's potential salary is going to be. So I put that there, and then I start making the adjustments of what bills I know have to come out of the account. So sinking funds. Now sinking funds is going to look a little different. If you see my past videos, you know I put $87.66 into savings to cover all the sinking funds. But I do have to make a payment of $299. I don't have to, but I'm going to my termite contract with Orkin. So that's what I'm going to do. And instead of moving all that money over on the 16th of the month into the savings, all $487.66. I'm taking out $299, which is the amount of the contract, and writing a check for that contract, and then what the difference is to deposit in the sinking funds, that's what's going to go into the sinking fund. That way I don't make a deposit into sinking funds, my savings account, and withdraw from the savings account. That's transferring money back and forth between two accounts. I only get 6 of those a month. This saves me from having to do it. It's not, the contract amount is not due until May 10th, but I'm paying it in April. And I always make sure I save up enough coming into April that I can make the payment. So that's why that is there. But the combination of these two numbers equals my total sinking fund. And as you can see, I have sinking funds here, and then termite or Orkin termite sinking fund here. And that's the total amount, and I don't have to juggle money. So it makes sense to me. It works for me, and that's what I do. Next, I have my electric and some subscriptions, what they come out, and they're kind of in the order that they would come out on the calendar. I just kind of use my calendar as a guide to put them in that order. It doesn't really mean any other thing than that. Let's see. After all that, I have my spending categories. So what I need to do also, and I'll show you what I did here to balance forward this number here. I actually created a formula for it, which is very simple. So I'm going to balance forward these numbers as well. So what you would do is, again, equals the sum of, I'm sure there's other formulas you can use, but this is the only one I really know well. I'm not an expert in Excel. I just know to do what I know. And then I click on this cell, and then I do close parentheses because I only want that number. I don't want to add, subtract to it. and then it brings the number down for me here. Then I'm going to take this, I'm going to hit copy, and then I want to paste it here. Now I didn't go to unbudgeted because unbudgeted doesn't have any money that I budget for, so I don't have to worry about it. I just have a 0 there to make it aesthetically pleasing by having a placeholder of a 0. Same thing for the budget amount. Here we go. So this is, every time this number gets lowered, this number gets lowered. So if I go over budget here, it's going to bring a negative number here. And I want that to happen because I want to stay within the range that I am wanting to be in, which is this section right here, total daily, my grocery household. I want to stay in $1,000 for the entire month. By allowing myself to balance forward negative numbers if I go over budget, helps me to remind me to stay within that range and work with that. So I have that. Now I do have budgeted amounts for paycheck 2 on spending categories. So let me see what those are. First one's going to be $400 for groceries and household, $325 for restaurants, $275 for miscellaneous, and $150 for gasoline. And obviously I don't do unbudgeted unless I want to take something out of the buffer. That's what I have there. And yeah, so as you can see, all the numbers change down here. So for the entire month, this is what I have left to spend. But this is what the actual cash in the bank account I have to spend right here in these first 4 categories. I added unbudgeted over here. I hope I don't use it, but I might. Now I've already set up, as you can see by that green triangle, the formulas to total in there, but that won't happen until I actually spend. So this is what I create as a live version of my bank account. Similar to EveryDollar in this concept of you have your categories or your one-offs and then your spending categories and then going in and making the changes as they happen. Now I use the C column here all the time to put either check marks or X's. Now I'm not sure how I got a check mark on my laptop, but I think I got it from, I'm sure there's a key code to do it. I just don't know how to do it. But a lot of times I like to do a check mark, and when I was on my iPad with the Excel, I could go to the emojis and get that check mark. So that's where I got that from. I can go back to, let's go back here. Do I have it? Yeah, I have some here. So I like to use a check mark. I can go copy from this part, and I'll put a little box there, and then go to here, and my spending categories, I just like to have check marks that they actually came out. So there's that. I know, and I like to use X's for what's cleared. That's what works for me. You can do whatever you want. You can use the same thing, all check marks. You can use all X's. You can use whatever. Smiley faces if you can get a smiley face in there. Whatever you want to do. But this is what makes sense to me. I know for sure the income that I thought I was going to have came in, and it's set up. If it needs to be changed because it's different, and then I put a check mark, I can adjust it as it happens. Here, my mortgage already came out, so I'm going to put an X here. My husband took his personal money out. I'm still waiting for Greater Europe Missions to take the money out of the account. Helping Hands definitely has theirs. Natural gas came out, and Amazon Music came out. CBS All Access came out. That has, Humana Health has not yet. Tithe has come out, and the rest has not. Well, the ATM has come out. I did that one. And that has not come out. So there is all of that. And then at the end, I put check marks here to notify that I have verified with my bank that I have the right transactions and the balance works. And that's what I do, and I carry it forward. So it's either check marks or X's. That's what I do there. But that is basic budget layout. It is very simple. It's a lot of transactions, a lot of lines. But once you get used to putting the information in and creating it, all you got to do is copy and paste it for the next month, and then make the edit changes just like you do in EveryDollar. When you roll over from one month to the next, you got to edit all the totals because you don't get a stimulus check every month or a tax return every month. So you have to take those in consideration, or your electric bill goes up or down or whatever, and things like that with the change of seasons. So you have to edit in the apps. You can edit in here too. Same thing. And it just carries the numbers over and works. And you carry the formulas over. Once you've set it up for the first time, it takes no time to just copy, paste, and then go forward from there. Just keep in mind how the formulas work. Now, I also have what I want to do here, and the way I have it set up, is the budgeting categories for the spending. So, grocery household, actuals. The way I track my actuals is I create another formula equals the sum of, and then parentheses, and then I come here and I go to grocery household, click on it, and then I shift plus, and that gives down here in the formula in that box a plus sign to add whatever that shows up there, and then shift and close parentheses, and there's the formula right there. I added 2 different cells and 2 different sections of the budget that I put my grocery household in, and that is what that is. And it tracks exactly to the penny what I put in. And so far I only have $83.08 for that category. Let's do the next one, which is restaurants. So this is the actual amount I have left for the month. This is what I've actually spent so far, and that's what I had budgeted for the month. There we go. So now we can move on down here to my sinking funds. So my beginning balance is actually the ending balance of March, and this is March. So I'm going to change this to April. And it says 60. I need to change that to 70. And when I add $10 later, there you go. This is $23.32. So I need to change that. $23.32. And I'm just copying the numbers over here, and then it's going to do the math for me. $3.11. Now I'm going to go ahead and put in here. I know $3.11 is what I have at when I do put money in for my sinking funds. I'll add $55, but I'm also going to take out what I showed you before, the Orkin sinking fund here, $2.99, because that's how much of a check I have to spend. So negative $2.99, and I like to highlight my negatives in red, as you see when I transferred over from last month. Now you're going to see that this drops down to $67. So now I only have $67 in the sinking funds account to cover any other expenses I have with Orkin. I think I have another month before we have to do another spray, so I won't need that, and that's $88. So after next month, I'll have enough to cover that, and we'll be good to go. Heating and AC, it ended with a negative 10, so I'm going to put negative $10. I'm going to add 20, and I'm going to make that a 0. And I'm going to take that red out because I don't need that anymore. Is that the color I used? Yeah. And then this needs to go to green because it's a positive number now. I only have $10 in there now. There we go. I changed the colors. That's what works for me. That's how I like doing it. So I make negative numbers when I'm taking out of the sinking funds. I make those red, and greens are what is put in. And because my sinking fund was negative for heating and AC, I made the payment for the annual contract, but we had plenty in the account to cover that $10. It wasn't that big a deal. I went ahead and let it go negative, and then when this month came, it goes positive. So that's what that is. So City of Chesapeake, this is our property tax for our vehicles. So that is $520. I'll add $52 later. That was $700. It'll be $800 at the end of the month. Cell phone was $545. Christmas fund was $200. $200 for vacation. Hot water heater had 80. P.O. box had 17. Oops, I wrote the right number, 17. There we go. Now dividends for this month. Do I have those written in? I think I do. Sinking funds. So we had 182 in sinking funds. Now this I'm going to take out because that's not what got deposited. We got 53 cents deposited for sinking funds. This is just a regular savings account, so it doesn't really have a lot happening as far as dividends. But I like to account for it so then the number matches what my bank account says for savings. And this has that number. And so we're good to go there. Now that my sinking funds are updated. Now, if you have sinking funds that you're in and out of a lot, then this may not work for you. But because mine are annual expenses and only one or two categories actually has money moving in it, then it works for me. So I'm going to change this one for our savings tracker. For our savings account, it has our emergency fund, starter emergency fund, 6-month expenses of savings, travel expense savings, our vacation in August, and any dividends that come in the account. That's what we're working with here. It's a separate savings account, so I account for it separately. Change this to April, and there we go. So this doesn't change. As long as our starter emergency fund is $1,000, I don't change anything with that. 6 months. So I want that to stay the same. This one I have to change the amount to $766, $665, and then I have to take this to 0 because I have not decided how much money is going to go into savings at the end of the month. Now this one, we're starting at $800 this month in April. I'm not going to add any to that. I will be taking out, but I won't do it in here until my husband travels at the end of the month, and he'll be transferring that money out, and that's when I'll make the adjustments. August vacation, we started with $3,500 for the month of April. This is what it ended in March. And I want to take out that deposit we made. That was mostly our stimulus check. So now we are in good shape. So dividends, I got to adjust for that, $6.34. And then this I'm going to take out because we have $1.62 for dividends and giving us $7.96. And yeah, so that is our total amounts there. Now, once I make any adjustments, these numbers will change, but I won't do any of that until the end of the month. So that is my Excel sheet and how I track everything I budget in my budget sheets here in Excel. It's a one sheet kind of thing. If I went to print it, I would have to divide it up and print it differently, but to fit on one sheet because I've got it kind of large in here. But I really do like Excel. I prefer to handwrite it down because I remember better, but I do like Excel because it will do the math for me. So this is kind of where I do my draft budget before the month starts. So I'm not worried about did I add or subtract incorrectly or anything like that or hit the wrong key on my calculator. The math is already done. The formulas are already set. I just plug the numbers in and then I can use that to guide me with my trackers and then I can just write everything down. I still prefer designing and my budget sheets and writing it down over Excel. Excel is not my favorite, but I do make it aesthetically pleasing as possible by using the curvy calligraphy and the color changes and stuff like that. So that is why I use Excel. So I hope this was helpful. I hope this made sense. If it did not and you need clarification, please leave a comment below and I will definitely love to chat with you with that. And I hope you have an amazing and blessed day. And I will see you next time, probably next paycheck period with the Excel after April 16th. And I'll show you how we did and how it compares to my budget sheets and all the numbers. So have an amazing, blessed day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.